for me, it's a lot easier just to leave them in the ground and take them when I take them when I need them, right? So this is great fall gardening. This is a great fall crop that I planted in April, right? You see in the theme here? Let's go look at some more stuff. Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and I thought I'd do an episode today on fall crops, specifically fall greens, but just in general fall crops. So when you read on various garden blogs and websites, and a lot of those websites where they have like articles, generally speaking, the notion they're referring to is something you plant in late summer or September, depending on where you live. For me, it would be beginning of August, really. Basically you plant in the summer or at the end of the summer, and it gives you a yield sometime in the fall. Now this lettuce, this romaine lettuce behind me here, was planted on I think the middle of August, and it's about this size now. So I'd be surprised if it grows much more. It might grow a tiny bit more. So it's mid-October right now. And once November hits, really everything freezes every single night and it thaws out. Perhaps things are growing in November, but they're barely growing. They're still around, and I'm still harvesting things in November. Nothing's really growing. So I don't expect this to do much more growing. I really should have planted it around the end of July, first week of August sort of thing, generally speaking. Anyway, most of the time that's what people are talking about, and you can do that, and that makes a lot of sense in many ways because you're getting an extra sort of yield out of your garden. The difficulty with it is that getting seeds germinated and seedlings started at the end of July, early August is challenging because that is the hottest, driest time of the year. So you have to be out watering and tending the plants all the time. And the whole notion, at least for me, the whole value or the real perk of a no-till garden is that you really don't have to do much. So I have a fairly large garden, 2,500 square feet, and really from July onwards I don't water the garden. So I find it really annoying to have to come out here and tend to something every morning and see if it's okay and all that sort of stuff. I do plant some lettuce and stuff like that because my wife really likes it in salads and that sort of thing. But for me, the best fall crops are planted in April or the end of March or beginning of May. They're frost-tolerant greens. You're going to have to work this out for where you live because every region is different. But there's certain things I can plant in April, and they just won't bolt during the summer. So I can plant collards. I can plant collards in April. I can plant kale in April. I got a variety of broccoli back here, Broccolini, that I planted in April. And I've been harvesting it all summer long, and I'm still harvesting it, and I'll be harvesting it till everything starts to freeze. So that's what I'm going to show you here. I'm going to show you the fall crops, things that, it's middle of October now. It's quite cold. You can see I got my ears covered, and I got a couple layers on, and I got wool socks on them. My hands are on the verge of becoming numb. It's probably around 8 Celsius outside right now. Of course it can get colder. I'm going to show you the kinds of things that my kind of fall crops, basically something you plant in April, you get to enjoy it all summer long, and you get to keep enjoying it deep into the fall. So really low work, high return, sort of low input, high return sort of plant. And in fact, and certainly many of these kinds of crops, they actually taste better this time of year. So let's have a look. So here I've got some Swiss chard. I planted this in the spring, basically as soon as the soil could be worked, April, maybe even end of March. I think I had a dome over this, a plastic dome, so it thawed out a bit quicker than normal. So I've been eating this all summer and all fall. And this time of year it tastes really good. So Swiss chard is definitely one of those great fall crops that you don't have to frig around with during the summer. They were this size in July, right? So, that's a great fall crop. Over here to my left, I've got right here parsnips. I won't even pull these out of the ground till the middle of November. I planted these in April, and I really haven't done anything with this bed all summer. I haven't watered, I haven't done nothing, just a little bit of, I don't even think, I haven't even weeded it. I just mulched it. All I did was thin it. I had to thin it, because I find you get better results when you thin parsnips. You know, each parsnip should be about 3 inches apart, ideally. There might be people that disagree, but that's what I find. And over here I got some kale, right? There's something, you know, I planted. Actually, this kale I planted I think I sowed the seeds last November, and they just came up on their own, and I thinned them out at some point. So this kale, great fall crop, and it tastes better this time of year anyway. Here I've got this variety. It's a kind of broccoli. I mean, I've let some of these go a bit too far. Shouldn't have let that flower, but anyway, this is called Artwork Broccolini, and it puts out all these little tiny florets, right? And every week this summer, I've gotten a good, you know, sort of dish. Let's say, like I filled a bowl, and there's enough to make a nice sort of broccoli dish to add to a meal. You can eat the leaves, you can eat everything off of this. And you know, as the season goes on, the florets just get a bit smaller and a bit smaller, but they keep producing. And I planted this, I think, the last week of March under a plastic dome, and it has just been producing and producing and producing all summer long, and it's continued to produce. I wish I'd planted a bit more, maybe 1/2 of a 4x8 bed, I think, would be the right amount to sort of keep you in the fresh broccoli business all summer long and into fall. And basically once a week I snap off every floret I see, and then the fall that's of reasonable size, and then a week later there's a whole bunch more. So that's a great fall crop, and it seems to be tasting better this time of year. And for whatever reason, it didn't seem to get. I thought I'd have pest problems with this, especially in terms of the small white, you know, cabbage maggot or whatever. I never know what to call these things. People always correct me. These little green caterpillars that eat your cole crops, and the eggs are laid by these white butterflies. Small white, I think, is what they're called, at least in terms of the butterfly, anyway. Anyway, great crop, right? This is what I got out of it today. Not bad. As I said, I think I should have planted about twice this much, because then it would fill the bowl a bit more. These carrots are another great fall crop. I'm fairly active on social media, and I see people posting their information. They say, hey, I've harvested all my carrots. You know, if your ground's about to freeze, that's a good idea. But I mean, if you're not selling them in a market garden or something like that, I don't know why you would pull your carrots when you don't have to. I mean, they're just, you can tell by the greens of these, they're continuing to grow, and they're just getting bigger and better, sort of thing. So I mean, I've been harvesting them when I want to eat carrots. I pull some carrots and, you know, have a nice, you know, carrot dish with a meal. I got lots of them, and they come out easily because I don't till my soil and I use a no-till approach. But for me, it's a lot easier just to leave them in the ground and take them when I take them when I need them, right? So this is great fall gardening. This is a great fall crop that I planted in April, right? You see in the theme here? Let's go look at some more stuff. These parsnips are another fall crop that I planted. I think I planted these the last week of March under a plastic dome. Now, if you put a dome over your gardens, they thaw out a bit sooner. Normally, I really can't work my soil to sometime in April. Sometimes I can't even work it till May. But with a plastic dome, I can usually get into, at least in the middle of the bed anyway, at the end of March, the last week of March. Anyway, that's when I planted these parsnips. I haven't done a thing here, other than thin these out. I haven't done a thing in this bed all summer long. Probably would have thinned them in May. Haven't done a thing since. I mean, I got some nice parsnips in here, right? It's a good size. It's maybe 2.5 inches at the crown. That's my kind of fall gardening. Over here I got this perpetual spinach and this Salsify. Perpetual spinach is basically Swiss chard, and How can I describe it? It is a form of Swiss chard that tastes not as good as other kinds of Swiss chard and doesn't taste a thing like spinach. Now, I wouldn't waste my time with it, but of course if you like it, you go for it. The Salsify I've never planted before, and I really don't know anything about it. Looking at it, it looks like it's still growing like the parsnips that I just showed. You can tell that the foliage is starting to break down and starting to change color, and you know, it looks like it's going into another stage of its life. Whereas the greens on this Salsify seem to just keep growing, so I think it's still growing. And this has been, I mean, I planted these ages ago, April, still growing. So really curious to see what these turn out to be, but I'm reluctant to pull them because to me there's no real, I'm not seeing any signs of maturity in these. So I'm just going to leave them and see what they amount to. I've never planted these before, I don't know a thing about them. I don't know what they taste like. Just, I planted them because they were a crop that I could harvest in like October, November. Another easy crop, and again with these I haven't done a thing all summer. Over here I've got this collard greens. These are like what they call tree collards or Jersey walking stick, or there's a whole bunch of different names for them. Anyway, it's a really tall sort of collard. I planted these in April, and now they taste really good because we've been getting some frost the odd night. I got this kohlrabi, right? Nice huge bulbs. This is a Cossack variety, I think it's called Cossack, and it's an F1 hybrid, so it's not an heirloom. But look at the size, holy Moses! So this time of year, these continue to improve with frost, and the greens are really good. And of course, we're sort of past the pests, really bad part of the pest season, so the greens are starting to look kind of delectable. Got some more here, and of course this big, beautiful winter boar kale. You know, I'll be harvesting this well into November, maybe even December. I got some spinach, some Swiss chard down here. This is, I think, the Lucillus variety. Very good tasting heirloom Swiss chard. So that's my take on fall crops, or a one way of looking at it. For me, the best fall crops are the ones that you plant in like April, give or take, and they give you food all summer long, and they give you food in the fall, and you're basically harvesting them well into November. And of course, my opinion on these matters is a function of where I live and the microclimate I am gardening in. You can tell I'm outside today. It's at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and it is completely overcast, completely cloudy. The sun's up. It's been up for a couple hours, but there is no sunshine. And really, from October, November, it's kind of like that here. It's overcast and dreary a lot. And so there isn't a lot of growing that happens here, this close to the coast and this part of the world, this latitude and so on and so forth, because there just isn't a lot of sunlight, there's not a lot of heat. And yes, you can, you know, extend your season to a certain extent using cold frames and hoop houses and row houses and things like that. I know people are going to make those comments. But if you're not getting the direct sun shining onto those microclimates that you've developed, you're not going to get the results you think. I'll watch the comments explode because I've trashed cold frames. But anyway, just if the sun's not shining on it, it's not going to do the thing you think it's going to do. I can just tell you that. The thing runs on sun. It's a sun capturing device. Anyway, don't want to get off on that rant. So, fall crops. Yes, you can plant something midsummer, sometime around there, and you know it'll germinate and grow. And if you planted just the right thing at just the right time, you can get something out of it by October. And that's great. And if you like doing that, do it. But if you like things being easy, for my money, in terms of greens, it's the cole crops and the like kale and stuff like that, and the Swiss chard and those different things. Those kinds of greens are the ones that you plant once and you keep harvesting them. They just get bigger and better and stronger, more vital as the season goes on. And of course the root vegetables, right? You can grow a lot of those. They're extremely low maintenance, at least I find them to be. And they just get better and better and better, and they love frosty nights and they love freezing temperatures. As long as you can get them out of the ground before the ground freezes, you know, they're just a great thing to have in your garden in the fall. Hope you found it interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. Click the bell to be notified when I make new videos. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.